skipping many, many years later. Now, I'm not working, on projects that are, I think South Africa's changed. My psychology's changed because I went to live in London and Paris for 5 years. So I'm not as dark as I was. And my friend said to me from France, he said, Jodi, people in France always see Soweto from the, Soweto uprising, or they think of Peter Magabani's pictures, or they think of poverty, you've taken me to Soweto, we've done projects there, and why don't you do a book before the World Cup to show another view of Soweto? And for me, this work, the Real Beauty work, is very much about shifting stereotypes, and my work called Quiet, which is about masculinity, which isn't here. But the media, for me, come and they have a certain way they want to project different countries. And that's what we know about the countries. So if you look at BBC, if you look at CNN, and if you look at Al Jazeera, I would say, I'm the Al Jazeera. I'm showing you another view. Because everyone has their own agenda, the way they document and show you, like Anne 7 or whatever, Gupta's station. So people have agendas. So I thought to myself, okay, I am going to look at Soweto, how Sowetans have expressed to me what Soweto is about. And I'm going to show, I think I was inspired when I was in Maponya Mall, which is a mall in Soweto, and everyone's just got their pick and pay trolley and they're shopping. And I thought, you never see that imagery in overseas. It's always about something negative or violent or whatever. So for me, I drove 7,500 kilometers. I worked in 3 months. I've seen more of Soweto than many Sowetans. I worked with 4 young students from the Market Photography Workshop who are all who had lived or lived in Soweto, because there are 32 areas in Soweto. It's huge. It's massive. And also working with someone from the community, I always find is better. What I did after the project, I gave every person I photographed a CD of the images. Some of them were a bit disappointed that, but where are we going to go and print this? And I said, go to Kodak store at Maponya Mall. And Soweto for me is an easy place to work because so much, not like the suburbs of Johannesburg where I come from, there's so much happening on the weekends. You've got tents, all over the place. The tent is going to be a wedding, or it's going to be a funeral, or it's going to be a birthday party. So, for example, that was a 1-year-old birthday party. And it was a big trend I don't know if it's all over the country, but it was like a Barbie party, so I photographed the entire party. And so they had pictures of everyone in the Barbie doll. But this is also where I speak about, I hope my work resonates about layers. Layers meaning that, why a Barbie doll? It's strange for me. So I hope that sometimes my pictures are just not seen in one layer, but in many layers. And then I would just go and say, can I come to the church? Because I've been to a lot of churches. So from outdoors to indoors. And there, when you're choosing and editing your pictures, you're sort of looking at, and look how beautiful that is. So
I wanted to ask you the reason why 2 of them are wearing socks and 2 of them are not.
I don't know. That's how it was.
Okay.
So you look as a photographer for all these things when you're editing pictures. And a Sowetan said to me, if you got this picture, it means you've really been to Soweto. And this is spring cleaning. So Yeah, and I don't know, I just think this was amazing. I don't know if you've heard of the group Rebirth. They're a rock band, and that was also surprising for me because a rock band I didn't really associate in the black community, and they have their following of white rockers in Cape Town.
I want to ask about representation. Have you had like any questions or comments about? Because I see this Soweto is mostly black people, and you are a white person who's representing the lives of black people. So have you had any comments or?
Never.
Wow, that's cool.
No, actually never. And you know, sometimes when curators in the beginning used to come from Germany, and they used to say, please tell me Jodi Bieber is black. The photographers stood up for me, the black photographers, and said, don't bring this into our environment. You know, there are different ways, I think, of taking photographs. And yes, we could say, okay, I'm white and I went into a black community and did this. But, you know, someone else should be doing it. All of you should be documenting your own communities, you know? So, I don't know. And I think I think Sowetans, they see this. They don't see me as like taking something that isn't. You know what I'm saying? And it's also showing a different side, I think, of Soweto or of township living. So yes, I am white, but you know, I live in South Africa, and 80% of the population is not white. And anyway, my black colleagues always said I was black underneath.
Can I ask how long it took? And
Yeah.
which year?
This was 2010, and it took 3 months. But I worked every day, Monday, right through. So we used to work every day for 3 months, except on Mondays I would edit, because we wanted the book out before the 2010 World Cup. So and then what happened where the book was out and basically it was stuck in Durban docks because of a strike. So anyway, and this for me was the most symbolic picture of the whole show. For me, this speaks about the new generation. It speaks about the old generation, from the way, I don't know, the dress, the way people are, the way they're standing. I don't know, for me it really represents the old and the new generation. And you know, I just drive around and then here we see the young girls playing and take a photo. And this was one of the hardest photos to get because for whatever reason it was, the swimming pool, to get permission to photograph at the swimming pool was like worse than getting permission from Home Affairs. It was actually beautiful because there was a DJ playing and there was braaiing and it was like the atmosphere was incredible. And I won't say any more. And people say, well, did she know? If you look at this picture here, not one person is looking at me. And if I'm the only white person there, there's going to be people looking. So what I did was I just stood there and I held my camera for a long time. And then she walked into the frame like this and I took the picture. So I was lucky.
May I ask why it was so difficult to get permission to take this photo?
Because I think there's a lot of departments, official departments, that are suspicious. Like there might have been an incident where there was alcohol, you know, and so they think you're the media. Even if you tell them I'm doing a project on Soweto, I have no interest in exposing anything. Well, I didn't even know what could you expose at a swimming pool. But I think that people think that you are the Sowetan or the star or whatever, and you're coming to look for negative things. And that's why it becomes difficult sometimes to gain access.
You also mentioned there were 32 areas of Soweto. Where was this taken?
Everywhere. If you see in my book,
Particular photo of that?
Oh, this is Orlando West swimming pool. There are 10 swimming pools in Soweto. So that was taken at Moletsang. Where is it? The child, with the peroxide hair. But there are 10 swimming pools now in Soweto. And I end the book with this because for me, I think when you travel a lot, like creativity doesn't always, it comes with other things. And here it's just, for me, it describes what I was feeling about the project. And I think this is a cute story. So I wanted to find an old couple. So I do profile. I think like in the time that I'm there, the things that I need, like landscapes, I want to find sangomas, I want to find the old and the new. So you're thinking about all these things as well. So I saw him walking in the street and we stopped the car and I said to him, "Oh, are you still married?" And he said, "Yes." And I told him about the project. I said, "Please, can we go ask your wife if I can photograph you?" I said, "Jump in the car and we'll take you there." He said, "You're not going to hijack me, are you?"
How did you decide to go and stay in London and France for 5 years? Or why, the shift from South Africa was actually, and when you were there, did you take photos there?
Yeah, no, not there. I was sent, this was the good old days where there was lots of magazines and, photography was important and it wasn't just about lifestyle. So even though I was in London and Paris, my agencies were there and I was connected to a lot of photographers as well. But so I got sent all over from India to China to South Africa to the whole of Africa. I worked Iran, Iraq, Pakistan. I mean, this is just the work, my own personal projects. But I've worked all over the world, and that was through my different publications or NGOs, like Médecins Sans Frontières. I work for them. So, and a lot of things are, And I needed to be in Paris and London because when I was home in Troyville, it's like you're constantly reminded of the things that I was photographing. And my mind was really dark. So it really, even though you travel, I used to go back to Paris and London. In Paris, I'd have coffees and meet my friends, and not feel so emotionally exhausted. But now Paris is not the same and London is not the same. But home is home. I didn't like living away because my inspiration actually comes from South Africa, what happens here. So I create much more here than when I lived there. I'm talking on my own personal work. My own personal work doesn't inspire me to do a project so much in London because it's not my community. However, I've nearly forgot. Let's go in there.